Have you ever wondered why certain things happen in your life? Why some events, no matter how good or bad, seem to lead you to a certain path? These questions are not new, and the Holy Bible, specifically Romans 8:28, offers some insight into these mysteries. This verse presents an intriguing perspective, a thought-provoking proposition regarding life's unpredictable journey. Today, we will be exploring Romans 8:28, a verse that provides some insight into these questions. Romans 8:28 reads, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." This verse, nestled in the heart of the New Testament, is a beacon of hope and faith. It offers a comforting assurance that even when life seems chaotic or challenging, there is a divine purpose at work. Let's break down the key phrases. All things work together for good signifies that every event, whether joyful or sorrowful, is part of God's grand design for our lives. Them that love God refers to those who have chosen to follow God's path, to love him and obey his commandments. And the called according to his purpose speaks of those who have been chosen by God to fulfill a specific role in his divine plan. So, with this verse, we understand that everything in our lives, the good, the bad, the mundane, is all part of a larger divine narrative. Let's delve deeper into the meaning of this verse. The phrase, "all things work together for good," is a powerful statement of faith and trust in God. It's a declaration that resonates profoundly with believers, and today we'll delve into its meaning. When we say all things, we're referring to every event, every circumstance, every joy, and every heartbreak in our lives. Yes, even the unpleasant situations. This phrase suggests that both the favorable and unfavorable events we experience are part of God's divine plan. It's a recognition that our lives are not just a series of random happenings, but woven intricately by a master planner who sees the big picture that we often miss. This concept might seem challenging to accept, especially during times of hardship or struggle. It's difficult to imagine that something painful or distressing could have a purpose and could work out for good. But this is where the beauty of this phrase lies. It encourages believers to trust in God's wisdom and sovereignty, even when things don't make sense from our limited perspective. Imagine a tapestry. From the backside, it might look messy, with threads crisscrossing and colors blending into each other. But when you turn it around, you see a beautiful picture. Our lives are much like that tapestry. We often see the tangled threads, but God sees the complete picture. This statement is not a guarantee that life will be free from trials, but it's a promise that in the grand scheme of things, God is working out everything for our good. It's a testament of hope, a beacon of light in the darkest times. It's an invitation to believe that even when life doesn't go as we planned, there's a divine plan at work. And so, all things work together for good emerges not just as a comforting phrase, but as a profound proclamation of faith. It's a call to trust in the wisdom of our Creator, who makes all things beautiful in his time. This statement is a reassurance that God's plans are ultimately for our benefit. The verse specifies them that love God. This is not a general promise, but a specific one. When we dive into the depths of Romans 8:28, we come across this poignant phrase, them that love God. This phrase is not thrown in casually, but is an essential part of the promise. It's a qualifier, a filter if you will, that separates the wheat from the chaff. To love God is not merely to have a fondness for the concept of a divine being. It's not about just believing in his existence. To love God is to follow his commands, to strive to live a life that reflects his teachings and his love for humanity. This love is not passive but active. It's a love that moves mountains, a love that transforms lives. This verse is a promise to those who truly love God. It's a promise that says, no matter what you're going through, no matter how tough the times may be, if you love God, all things will work together for your good. It's not a promise of a life free from trials or hardship, but a promise of purpose and goodness arising from all circumstances. Imagine a master weaver at work, taking disparate threads and weaving them into a beautiful tapestry. Each thread on its own might seem insignificant or even unattractive, but when they are all woven together, they create a masterpiece. That's what this verse is saying. It's saying that God, the master weaver, is at work in the lives of those who love him, weaving all circumstances, good and bad, into a tapestry of goodness. So what does it mean to love God? It means to trust him, to follow his commands, and to seek his will in all that we do. And what is the promise for those who love God? It's that all things, all circumstances, all events will ultimately be woven together for their good. Love for God is a key condition for this promise. If we love God, we can trust in his promise that all things will work together for our good. The verse concludes with, "the called according to his purpose." What does this mean? At first glance, this phrase might seem a bit cryptic, but once we delve into it, the profound beauty and promise it holds become clear. The term "the called" in this context refers to an invitation, a divine summons of sorts. But this is not a casual, nonchalant invite. It is a purposeful and intentional call by God himself. In the Christian faith, being called by God is an essential part of the believer's journey. It is a personal, intimate invitation from the Creator to enter into a relationship with him. It is also an invitation to live a life that reflects his love and righteousness. This call, however, is not without a purpose. The latter part of the phrase, "according to his purpose," implies that the call from God is intertwined with a divine plan. This plan is not arbitrary or random. Instead, it is intricately woven into the fabric of our lives. So when we talk about Christians who have been called according to God's purpose, we are referring to those who have answered God's invitation to follow Jesus Christ. These are individuals who have chosen to align their lives with God's will and pursue his purposes above their own. Being called according to his purpose is not about living a life free of struggles or hardships. Instead, it is about having the assurance that in all things, whether good or bad, God is at work. It is about knowing that even in the midst of trials and tribulations, God's purpose is being fulfilled. It's like being in a symphony orchestra. Every musician has a part to play, and when played according to the conductor's direction, it results in a beautiful harmony. Similarly, when we respond to God's call and live according to his purpose, we contribute to the divine symphony of his grand design. Those who respond to God's call and live according to his purpose can rest assured that all things will work together for their good. Remember, God's call is not a demand, but an invitation, and it's an invitation to a life of purpose, significance, and eternal impact. Romans 8:28 is a powerful verse that provides comfort and reassurance to Christians. Throughout our exploration, we've dissected this verse, breaking it down into its 3 key phrases and uncovering their profound meanings. We began by examining the phrase, "all things work together for good." This statement is not a casual remark, but a profound assertion of faith. It assures us that in the grand tapestry of life, every thread, every event, every circumstance, no matter how seemingly insignificant or adverse, is woven together to create a design of ultimate good. It is a declaration of optimism, a promise of hope that God's plan encompasses all, and that plan is always for our good. Next, we grappled with the phrase, "them that love God." This phrase emphasizes that the promise of Romans 8:28 is not a blanket statement for all, but a specific covenant for those who love God. It underscores the reciprocal love between God and his followers. It reminds us that love for God is not a passive feeling, but an active commitment demonstrated through obedience, trust, and faithfulness. Finally, we delved into the phrase, "the called according to his purpose." This phrase speaks to the divine calling that God has placed on the lives of his followers. It communicates that God's purpose is not random nor arbitrary, but intentional and specific. It tells us that we are not just wanderers on this earth, but pilgrims on a journey, handpicked by God to fulfill his divine purpose. So, what are the practical implications of Romans 8:28 for Christians? This verse imparts a sense of purpose, hope, and assurance. It equips us to face life's ups and downs with courage, knowing that, in the end, all things will work together for our good. It serves as a reminder that our love for God should be active and unwavering, and that we are called to live out His purpose in our lives. It is a verse that invites us to trust more deeply, to love more profoundly, and to live more purposefully. In conclusion, Romans 8:28 is a beacon of hope, a love letter, and a divine mandate, all rolled into one. It is a verse that resonates with the rhythms of faith, love, and purpose. It is a verse that echoes the heart of the Christian journey. If you want more of this content, please like and subscribe to my channel. May God be with you. God bless.